Hello everybody, Crow back again, and this is the final part of my Midwest Gaming Classic 2015 pickups, and these are all PS1 games. I wound up buying 7 PlayStation 1 games at the Midwest Gaming Classic, so let's get started. This one I had to get because I remember, I have my price sheet in front of me because I took all the stickers off ahead of time. This was only $5. It's Jupiter Strike, and it is complete. We've got the booklet and the game. So I actually remember renting this one a long time ago, and when I rented it, what immediately I thought of was Star Fox. So I think this was long before this game came out, even before Star Fox 64 came out. So the only game that had been out at the time was Star Fox. So I was like, wow, this would be like a great kind of sequel to Star Fox. In retrospect, after playing it, it really doesn't really play like Star Fox. It just kind of looks like it to me a little bit. Because you do have the lock-on ability, and once you lock on, you can fire off many missiles at once and just hit a lot of the targets you've locked on. As for a shooter, it's pretty generic by today's standards. Since being an early PS1 title, there's just a ton of FMV that it tries to show you at the beginning of, oh, here's what's happening, and it's like 3 minutes of full motion video before you actually get into the game. Now, thankfully, you can just hit the start button and skip it all, but I was just watching it all again because, kind of nostalgia type of deal. So yeah, other than that, it's just, shooter, kind of reminds me of Star Fox. I don't know, you could take multiple hits, you've got and then once you get shot down, you can continue. I don't know how many continues you get to, but I did last quite a little bit of time, I guess, before I actually got shot down. But yeah, this doesn't even take, this is such an early PS1 title that it doesn't even take memory card. It's like you'd think that almost every PS1 title, like you could save your game or save something onto the memory card. Not this one, no. In fact, it just says one player. That's it. That's your feature on the back. But yeah, that's it. Nothing more to say about that. It's kind of generic and kind of forgotten these days. But when I saw this, I was like, yeah, I'll have to buy it. There was actually another long box game I almost bought. It was Philosoma. And that was kind of a game I remember renting as well. And, it turned from like a horizontal shooter to a vertical shooter to behind a ship shooter. It did a lot of different things. It's also one of those titles that nobody really talks about these days. The only reason I didn't pick it up is because I think they were asking $15 for it, and it didn't have the manual. So I just didn't pick it up. Now, next game, it's actually one of those games that I saw Steve Benway playing on his channel fairly recently, and it just kind of stuck in my head, and I'm like, I'm going to have to pick that up if I see it. And I was looking online, like when I look online, the only copies I see are greatest hits copies, so I never picked it up. But I did see the Black Label version, Hard Trilogy, which actually has 3 games in one, and it was not only the Black Label version, but this was only $5. So I was like, yeah, I'm definitely picking this up, because it looks like fun. So yeah, it's got 3 different games in there. They're all based on one of the first three movies. You got the first one, which is Die Hard, which has you playing as John McClane, running through kind of like a third-person view. But controller's kind of weird because you kind of control him a little bit like he kind of controls a little bit like a tank, where when you turn left or right, he'll turn weird like a tank. And then, but the camera kind of just always stays right behind him. So in order to shoot at somebody, you kind of have to hit the left or right to angle yourself so the person you want to shoot at is right in front of you, so you can shoot. So kind of weird, but it's still kind of fun. And then once you kill everybody, there's a bomb that starts to go off, and you have to make yourself get yourself to the next floor. Also, there's hostages. You try not to shoot the hostages, but then if you get to them, you could free them, and they'll make their way to the exit. It's actually pretty fun. I actually liked it. Second game on here, Die Hard 2, Die Harder. This is like the light gun shooting section of the game. Now, I think you can play this with a light gun. It doesn't say light gun at the back of this. But but this part actually works with the mouse, and that's what I was using to play with the footage I captured. You're seeing right there. So it takes place at the airport, and you know what? One thing I should mention is that these really feel like Sega type games to me. Right? They just really have a Sega feel to them. Even though Sega was not involved in these games at all, Fox Interactive and Probe Entertainment, these just look and feel like Sega games, like the kind of thing that seems to belong on the Saturn. And you can kind of see that from the footage too, but it really plays that way too. So like playing this game, you're like, it kind of looks, it feels a little bit like Virtual Cop, because you've got the reticle, the red reticle that kind of zooms in on the characters you need to shoot at. So it was kind of cool. And the environment's pretty interactive and everything. So I thought it was pretty fun. And then finally the last game here, Die Hard with a Vengeance. I didn't really like this one as much. It seemed really weird to me. I think maybe I need to play it a little bit more to get into it, because it's kind of an interesting concept where you have a certain amount of time to find the bombs in the city, and you're just driving around like crazy, but I don't know how to explain it. The game feels really, really loose. And like, it's funny, the game is like, seems way bloodier than it needs to be, because you hit those pedestrians and their blood splatters all over your windshield, and then you see the windshield wiper wiping away all the blood. I didn't really get that far in the game, but when you, like, I guess like the end of the first level has you like chasing down a car that has a bomb in it, and you have to hit the car a certain number of times before you disable the bomb. Yeah, it's the kind of logic that only really works in a video game. But the car, I could never like keep up with it, because it would always seem to turn like at a sharp angle, and I would never be able to make those same turns, and I'd always wind up losing it and having to retrace my steps, and I never had enough time to actually chase it all the way down and disable it. But I could see where I may, just because I haven't been playing the game that much, where I just wasn't used to it. But it wasn't as exciting or as good as the first two games, I felt. But it's just maybe because I need practice on it. So that's Die Hard Trilogy. Now when I picked up Die Hard Trilogy, I was like, yeah, I want to buy this. The guy was like, oh, you're not interested in Die Hard Trilogy 2? I go, you have that? And somehow I missed it in the line, so this is Die Hard Trilogy 2. I wound up picking this up as well. Viva Las Vegas. And this was $5 as well. But it is not anywhere as good as the first game, I think. I mean, it tries to do the same thing, but not based on any movie of any kind. You have, instead of having the different games based upon different movies, it's just different games that you say, yeah, I want to play the action game, I want to play the shooter game, I want to play the driving game. So let's see if we can do these one at a time. We've got the third-person action-adventure mode, which I'm reading right off the back of the box. And it's kind of weirder than the first game. It seems like he's got more action. It seems like they tried to do more, but I got stuck in it. There were doors there that I didn't know were doors, and it took me a while running back and forth, and then you have to find key cards. I got stuck. Apparently there was a door somewhere I either didn't see or I couldn't get through, but it's not too bad. It's just, I like the action part in the first game better. Then we got the second part, which was shooter. So it's the same kind of shooter type deal. Again, it really doesn't seem as good as the first game, but it's out of the three in this one, I think it's the best. And this one actually says it works with the light gun, but again, I used the mouse for the footage you're seeing there, but it says standard light gun controller compatible and synchronized light gun controller compatible. I think that might be like the gun con, and then any other, so it almost seems like any sort of gun controller you wanted to use would work with this. And then the last game, which was the driving, this was just a disaster, I think. I could not figure out what the hell was going on at all with this driving game, what I was supposed to be doing, what I was supposed to be going for. The first thing that happens is that a bus explodes, and it blocks the road. And I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Well, you're supposed to drive in the middle of the desert somehow, chasing other cars down. I think I found and destroyed one, but after that I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to be doing. I think I ran out of time. I can't remember if I ran out of time or if I just quit the game, but honestly, it really did not put a good taste in my mouth after playing it. So, Die Hard, I just got it because it's the sequel, it wasn't that expensive, and so yeah, there's that. Next game, I don't remember where I found this, but I was like, when I saw it, I was like, I have to get this. I'm looking down because I'm trying to figure out how much I paid for it. $15, incredible prices. Now, this was a game I had at one point, and I let my sister have it, and who knows what happened to it after that. She lives like 1,800 miles away now, and I even doubt she has the game. This is one of those games that is so Japan-centric that I'm surprised it even came out in the United States. And even they don't even bother translating a lot of stuff. I'm sure they changed the text, the overlay text for subtitles and stuff, but like a lot of stuff in the game just stays in Japanese, like for background elements and everything. And it makes no secret that this family is a family living in Japan. The whole plot of the game is that the family, it's the grandma's birthday, and she wants the family home early for her birthday. That's the whole plot. But every member of the family has to go through these extraordinary, just off the wall circumstances in order to make it home alive and in one piece. Like, the very first thing that happens in the game is that you're playing the father, and he's got to do his morning exercise routine. Once you get past that, something happens with like construction, and he winds up with this giant globe chasing him down a hall. And then he's in a falling elevator, and then he winds up getting injured in the hospital ambulance. They take him away in an ambulance, and they're trying to figure out if he's okay or not. And basically they're asking him questions, and if you answer the questions right, you have to answer 10 questions right out of I don't know how many. But if you get like 2 or more wrong in a row, they start zapping you. And basically all the games have in common is a crisis meter. So the more you screw up, the more the meter goes up, and once the crisis meter fills up, that means you failed the game. But it's just a whole bunch of different mini games, and I actually played all the way through this once before. But just that it's just really crazy. What does it say? One of the funniest things you'll ever put in your PlayStation. The wackiest, most intriguing, fun PlayStation game of the year. That was Game Fan. So I guess there's 24 different mini games, and yeah. It's just, yeah, and all the controls are really simple. I'm just kind of looking to see if I missed anything. I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of like one of those games you just have to play for yourself. It's like a bunch of mini games, and you have to play through the mini games to get the family to get through their crisis. And what's funny is that once you do like the father's story, then you go to the son's story, and then the daughter's story, and then the mother's story. Maybe not in that order, but all their kind of what they're doing kind of intertwine with each other as you play through the game. So it's actually a really fun game. I really highly recommend this game if you've got a PlayStation 1 or even a PlayStation 2. You know, if you can even play this on the PlayStation 3. So as long as you got one of those, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't pick this game up. And $15 is actually not bad of a price, I think, for that. Next up is this was one of those games where I was looking specifically for Ridge Racer Revolution, the second Ridge Racer game. And I never had this game, but I think in my last pickups video I said I got Ridge Racer for the Vita, and the only reason I picked it up was because I like the Ridge Racer games, and maybe I should just collect them all since I have so many already. So this was, what was it, $6.95, kind of an odd price, but I picked it up. And it is pretty much, you've got 3 tracks. Basically, the tracks are all based on pretty much the same area. They just divert you a different way for those tracks. So it's been like the first game, but they just added a few more things to it. And it works really well. And actually, it's one of those early PlayStation games that can use the link cable where you can link 2 consoles together. But other than that, it's just Ridge Racer. It still kind of looks kind of good for what it is. Like a step up in graphics over the original game, but again, I just had the game just because. So there's really not much more I can say about Ridge Racer Revolution. Next up is a game my wife actually pointed out to me because she knew I was kind of wanting to get this game again. Intelligence Cube. This is the Japanese version. This was $15. Now I forgot to look up how much the US version goes for these days, but I had the US version at one point. Again, it was one of those games I gave to my sister. And again, I don't know what she did with it. She probably sold it or something. And I hope she got a good deal for it, because this is one of those games that goes for not cheap. How not cheap? I don't know. I just remember at one point it was being sold for over $100. Maybe it's gone down in price since then. But this is the Japanese version of this. is practically exactly the same as the US version of it. The menus are even in English. And for everything I can remember for the game is exactly the same. I could have been playing the US version of the game and would never, like if I was playing the Japanese version or the US version, I don't think you could tell the difference. But basically it's a puzzle game where you've got these, you're on these blocks, okay, and the blocks come at you. The goal is to eliminate all of the blocks except for the black one. Now, you can mark a spot on the ground with a bomb. Basically, it just turns blue or whatever. And whatever block, when a block kind of rolls over it, you hit the button and you detonate the block. Now, there's green blocks as well. So if you get rid of a green block, the green block will mark bombs in a square area around that, which you could detonate later. Now, you got to be careful not to detonate the black blocks, because then you lose basically parts of the area you're allowed to run on will drop off and you'll lose area to run on. But if you do the whole area successfully, then you'll get a perfect and you'll get more area to run on. Yeah, he doesn't like the game. He wants me to play him instead. But it gets harder and harder, and it actually has in the corner like how many moves you're supposed to be able to do each section in. So if you do it, like it says you can do it in 5 turns and you do it in 5 turns, you know that you did it the way it really expected you to. But you could actually do it better too. Like sometimes you could do it in 4 out of 5 moves. But once you go beyond 5 moves, you kind of realize that, oh, I could have done that better, as it were. And this game goes on for like 8 levels. And when I played it, and I played this to play capture footage for it, I got sucked into it again. I wound up playing it for an hour. So I wound up making an hour worth of footage for this. And you're only probably going to see like the first level. So that is that. There's only one more PS1 game. This was picked up at Windy Gaming. And it's actually one of those games I already have, but this is just a different region. That's Parappa the Rappa. This was $14, and I was like, I figured, you know what? I have Jammerlamy. I have the Japanese version of Jammerlamy. I have the US version of Jammerlamy. I have the US version of Parappa the Rappa. Why not get the Japanese version of Parappa the Rappa? The main reason I wanted the 2 different versions of Jammerlamy because there is a significant difference in one of the cutscenes, and some of the songs have different lyrics or whatnot. Parappa the Rappa, not so much. There's not really much of a gameplay difference. The only difference is that, well, the game even plays in English, but instead of English subtitles, you have Japanese subtitles. And the menus are all in Japanese, so I'm going to have to figure that out. But, yeah, I just kind of felt like, oh, you know what, I'll get the Japanese version because it's got a completely different cover, got a completely different back. I don't remember if the US version of the manual was like this, where it folds out into a poster. It may have been, so like the whole manual folds out into this poster here. And on the back, it's like the instructions on how to play the game. So it's kind of interesting way to do the instructions. And then whatever this is, I don't know, it kind of looks like a record, but it's just Japanese, something in Japanese. I don't really know. Don't really know what this is supposed to be. And then there's this other Rodney Good Fun's on sale. I don't know what that is. But yeah, I just played a little bit. It's pretty much exactly the same as the US version. It's basically kind of like a rapping game where it's a rhythm game pretty much. So like your mentor or master or whatever who's singing the song sings his lyrics, and then you basically do the same button pushes to sing your version of the lyrics right after. And it's a fun game. I like the music, and you know it's funny is I have like MP3s in my car, and I have Parappa the Rapper songs in my car that sometimes pop up. Now my wife absolutely hates this game. It was funny, she called it Parappa the Crappa because she hates this game so much, and anytime she's in the car with me and one of the Parappa the Rappa songs come up, she's like hits the fast forward button. So I was like, oh my god, I gotta get this game when I saw it, and she's like, no, no, no. Parappa the Crappa. that's it. That's all the pickups. I mean, I did pick up a couple things, other things here and there, like this T-shirt that I'm wearing came from there. I also picked up just some pinballs, and I'm going to clean out the Star Trek and put brand new Silver Jet pinballs in there. But other than that, nothing else is pretty. Yeah, I did pick up a lot. I think I've picked up more in previous years, but I still picked up a little bit more than I thought I was going to pick up, seeing as how I'm a little bit more picky over the games I've been picking up, as it were. So let's leave it at that. Thanks everyone for watching. See you all next time. Bye.